Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday morning. It is hump day. I hope you guys are all having a good morning. Appreciate you guys being here. Let me know if the music's a little too loud. I can turn it down. Thank you for all your beautiful faces showing up for week 2 of Your His Story. I'm excited about today. We got Cryopheonix in the house. It's going to be an amazing morning. Just hear his story and just the work that God's doing in this season of his life. Both him and I had just some real life, I don't know if you want to say grinding or sandpaper type of abrasive things happening this week that just made us second guess. Hey, should we do this? Do we have time for this? My kids didn't sleep all night last night, and last week my kids were throwing up before we went live, and so I just knowing that it just definitely feels like the enemy's like, I do not like this. I do not want this to happen, and so just the opposition is almost more encouragement to be present and more encouragement to do this thing right. So again, yeah, thank you for being here. This is the first testimony channel for gamers ever, I think, even on YouTube or Twitch or anywhere, which is awesome. And so I really think this is going to be vital going forward. It's going to be a lot of encouragement, a lot of just good things that come from this. And really the point of this channel, the root word for testimony is to do it again, right? So we believe that what God has done in somebody's life, he wants to do it again, whether that's in your life or the life of somebody that you know. And we're just excited about it. We're thankful for all that God has done in our lives. And it's just a way to put it on display and just to celebrate. So, yeah. The other thing is, hopefully the goal of this channel is to just create a value for writing testimonies, remembering your testimonies, acknowledging your testimonies. They can be used as a weapon of warfare, when you're going through a difficult season, to look back and either remember or even go back and read testimonies that you've written down, things that God's done. It's just such like, hey, the enemy's saying this thing and you're feeling discouraged and you're feeling beat down. Well, now you can get out this testimony and say, actually, this is what God thinks about me. Actually, this is, what's true about me, or this is how much God loves me, or this is what he's told me in this season. It's just so important. And it aligns our heart with God's, gets us back on track. And then they just have this testimonies have supernatural power. They have the ability to deliver and to change somebody's circumstances, based on just us sharing it and us cultivating just a culture of just sharing it with other people. I know I've heard a lot of stories of, hey, people that were dealing with addiction or depression or things like that, and they share, hey, God brought me breakthrough in this area. It took 2 years. It was a really challenging season. They share it with somebody who also has a similar struggle, and that person now receives, if you will, off the grace and off the power that God has done in their life, and they're able to get free from it themselves, which is amazing. So anyway, without further ado, I am going to introduce Cryopheonix this morning. He's the man, the legend, the MMO master. Let me bring him on screen here. There he is. Good morning, Cryo. Make sure you unmute yourself.
Good morning, Victor. Good morning, chat.
Good to see you. Appreciate you being here early.
It's good to be here.
I never asked you what time zone are you in? Are you in Eastern time?
No, I'm in Central.
Okay. All right. So it's early. It's 7. It's not too bad. I targeted the channel being at 8 o'clock so that I could hopefully get people before they went to work, but also on the West Coast. And so I'm interested to see. I heard Susie talking about it a little bit yesterday. Like, I don't know if earlier is better because that changes everything, but. Anyway, yeah, I appreciate you being here. I got my cup of coffee. You said you had your cup of coffee this morning, so
Yeah,
it's good. We're ready. Okay, so let's get into a little bit. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? A couple one-off questions. Hey, how old are you? Roughly where you're at in the world. maybe how you, let's do what your favorite MMO is of all time, because I know you're an MMO guy, and or let's do a favorite video game, and then maybe why you decided to come on and share your story. We'll just start with those things.
Well, I'm 43 years old. I live in Minnesota. Moved here about 6 years ago from California. My favorite video game of all time has got to be Final Fantasy VI.
Really? Okay. And was Final Fantasy VI on PlayStation 2?
That was on, well, in the US, it was Final Fantasy III, but in
Oh,
Japan, it was 6. It was on for the
interesting.
Super Nintendo. But they
Awesome.
brought it back, like a collector's edition or some kind of thing for the PlayStation 1.
Okay. Wow, cool. Okay, so that was like pixel graphics, right? It was like
Yep,
okay, like sprites and stuff.
16-bit.
That's cool. I didn't know you were from California. Actually, I don't think we've had this conversation, but I originally was from California. Were you born there or raised there?
Yep, on the outskirts of Los Angeles.
Okay, I wasn't born there, but I was raised in the Bay Area, San Jose, Hollister, Morgan Hill, like that whole area south of San Francisco. So I don't miss it. Well, I kind of miss the weather. I'm not gonna lie, but that's about it. That's about it.
I, yeah, I miss my friends out there, but other than that, it's been so peaceful and calm out here. It's surreal from
Yeah.
being in the city out and towards the farmland country.
Yeah, I'm in Michigan, and it's a whole different lifestyle, like pace of life and everything, which has been amazing. So, okay, so what inspired you to even want to come on and share?
When I first heard about it, it kind of intrigued me
Sure.
because I know I've been wanting to tell my testimony for a while,
Yeah.
but I'm not a person who likes to be in front of a crowd.
Sure.
But online, I can talk to people and have no problem. Face to face, a little thing. But then I heard it again as soon as he was talking about it, and the second time, that's when the Holy Spirit said, "No, you need to go ahead and sign this filth out, so get your testimony out."
That's awesome. No, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you got to share a little bit with me, and we just got to connect. I will say, it's very comforting the fact that I know no matter what MMO I get on and play, that I can find you playing in the game. So it's always like, oh man, I don't know if I can log into Final Fantasy or I can log in. At least Cryopheonix is playing right now. I don't feel as alone. Um, okay, so I know I've asked you this, but what's your favorite MMO right now? Like if you had to choose which MMO takes the cake.
Uh, Right now, it's a very big toss up between World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14.
Okay.
But WoW is such. I have many fond memories of that since I started playing back in the original Burning Crusade. That's when I first started, and I still have my same character that I've had since then. I'm still playing,
Oh wow,
and
that's cool.
it's bringing back so many memories. It's relaxing and yeah, the World of Warcraft is the number one for right now. But
S-
Final Fantasy is a very close second.
So on the topic that Susie's been talking about a little bit off and on, are you more of a story guy or more of like I just want to get to end game and just get it done guy?
I'm a story person.
Okay.
I love the story. It's like reading a book, but you're interacting with it.
Sure. Yeah, Final Fantasy
And
is
yeah,
definitely that way. Yeah.
yeah, there's so many twists and turns in that one. It's just like, whoa, wait, huh?
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
World of Warcraft, I do like the story. It's an intriguing story. It keeps me coming back. And
Sure.
but yeah, I'm a story-driven person. It's
Okay.
what brought me to the RPGs and MMOs because I love story.
Sure. That's awesome. Um, okay. So I know you've come this morning just prepared to share a little bit about the season and what you've been going through. So I will give it away to you. If I have any questions or I want to clarify something, I'll interject. But otherwise, go ahead and share your history. And I'm here to listen. If you want to preface it, you can, or if you just want to jump right in, go for it.
Okay. Oh, thank you. 6 years ago, um, my family was having a hard time in California. My dad couldn't find a job. So my aunt had moved to Minnesota, and she told my dad, there's plenty of jobs out here. Why don't you come out here and see if you can get one? Well, then my great aunt got him a plane ticket. And so he flew out here. Within a week, he got a full-time job. So we decided to sell the house. And at first I wasn't going to come because, all my friends and stuff were here. And I was basically living in the back room with my parents because I couldn't afford much of anything on the pay I was getting. So they were getting ready. They were putting the house on the market, getting stuff ready. And I was at work. I was on shipping and receiving manager, but I was also the delivery driver. So I would go out and I was on my way to pick up some material. And a little small, still voice was saying, I think you need to go. You need to go. So I called my mom, asked her, how much is rent and stuff out there. And it was pretty cheap for a 2-bedroom. My aunt was renting. It was like $650. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But you know what? I think, that's what I decided. Is like, I think I'm going to head out there, which all in all was a very good thing to go. So we left the day after Christmas. We drove all the way there. And January 1st, 2016, we pulled into Minnesota and got settled in. Parents found a house. I tried to find stuff, but every time I would try to find something, it wouldn't go through or something wasn't right. So I'm like, okay. And at that point in time, I wasn't really walking with God.
Sure.
I was basically doing my own thing, which I had been for a long, long time. Every now and again, I would get the urge to go to church, but I would go like a couple of weeks and I would just stop. It just wasn't really my thing. So so I was just working, found a job a couple weeks after I got here. And I was at my machine. I was a machinist. And just right after lunch, I heard God said, I want you in my service. Plain as day. Right in my ear. I want you in my service. And he just kept nagging me. And I'm like, all right, God, if you want me in your service, I can't work or go to school at the same time. There's just no way I can do that. I've tried it before and it nearly killed me. And so then I didn't hear anything after that. A week later, I had a regular checkup at the doctor. I had scheduled a few weeks back. And between that time when God said, I want you in my service to my doctor's appointment, for some reason I kept falling asleep at work. I would sit down and just knock out. I've never done that before. And I was like, oh, maybe just because I'm low on energy. So I would, have coffee or tea or whatever, energy drinks. That didn't even work. I just kept falling asleep. So went to the doctor. Normal routine physical. So she put the oxygen meter on my finger, and she looked at it and kind of concerned. It's like, has your level always been that low? And I'm like, I have no idea. So she said, no, I'll have a nurse have you walk around and see if it'll go up. It actually went down. So, and so that's when they decided I had to be put on oxygen because I wasn't getting enough oxygen. So in August, it was like August 13th of 2019. Then couldn't work no more because I worked a bunch of chemicals and oxygen, very explosive.
Sure.
So I had to basically quit work. I was put on disability. And for a while it was okay. I was like, okay, this is what I figured this is what God was at. My answer to his thing. I can't work, so I go to school.
Sure.
So he decided to, at that moment, for whatever reason, decided to keep my blood oxygen low. So I was going for a while, trying to figure things out, and it was going good for a while. But then, the enemy started whispering in my ears, like, "No, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. All this stuff." So started to go back into my old ways, and for a while, it's like I would start watching. Between that time, I found God Squad Church. There's a friend of mine in California who's talking to me about. He heard about it on Kotaku about a pastor who plays video games. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. So I looked it up. I looked it up, and it's like, oh, Susie Live. You check him out. Then you talk about God Squad Church. Like, oh, okay. At least I can go watch. I can be at church. And because I was stuck to a machine. And it was going great for a while. Then I just started slowly going back into my old ways. And like, to the point where I didn't want nothing to do with God anymore. Like, I'm done. Things started happening with my family, my parents, my well-being. I'm like, why is God letting this happen? All this stuff. So then it was right after Thanksgiving. So between that, it was Thanksgiving of 2020. I had from there that I was in a funk. I couldn't get out of it and stuff. And then, COVID hit, and which made it even worse because everything was shutting down. Nobody can really go anywhere, do anything. And
Sure.
My only relief was go to the store and walk around for a little bit with the little tank I had. But I couldn't do that much, and and I fell into depression again, and I'm like, so then right after Thanksgiving is when I was at my lowest. I was at the very bottom, and I just cried out to God. I was like, I don't want to be this way no more. Please, I want to be different. And as soon as I did that, I felt so light. I felt the weight just lift right off me. And it was the most remarkable, miraculous thing I've ever felt. I didn't feel any heaviness. I didn't feel any sadness. I was just like I was floating above my bed.
Wow.
And I knew right then that everything was going to be different, and I was going to make sure that I wouldn't fall back into my old ways. So I started, reading the Bible and stuff like that, which in hindsight, I should have done back then, but I didn't.
Sure.
Now then, I did want to go back to church, but everything was still closed. They weren't doing anything. But I found out there was a church that my mom and aunt had gone to, that was still open. So I was like, we've got to go. And we walked in that Sunday morning, and it just like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. It was so, the air was so crisp in there. I mean, it's hard to describe the feeling when I walked in there.
Sure.
And no, we started going there right after the 1st of January in 2021. And so going there every Sunday.
Real quick, are you still on oxygen at this time?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
When I started going to church, I still was.
Sure.
It was a few months afterwards that I was like, it was just becoming unbearable. And I prayed to God that one night before going to bed. I said, please, Lord, I don't want to be on oxygen no more. It's just a hassle. I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, I got it on. I walking around, and something it didn't feel right.
Let's go.
So I'm like, I took it off because I can usually do it for 10 minutes before I start feeling the effects of getting sluggish and drowsy. 10 minutes go by, nothing. 20
Awesome.
minutes, half an hour, whole day, and I'm like, thank you, Lord.
Dude,
You
that's
you
awesome.
you 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 healed me from this illness, which the doctors couldn't figure it out.
Mm.
They did test after test, and they could not figure out what was wrong. They still can't figure it out.
So at that point, you knew your oxygen was good. You tested it. It was like normal, and you're like, "Thank God, I don't have to use oxygen anymore."
Yep.
Wow, that's
So I
amazing.
wasn't chained to that hindrance.
Sure,
And then I slowly, so when I started going, I started being more and more involved in the church, going to like little small groups, like men's group,
sure,
the Wednesday night meetings. And one after, and then I felt that wanted to be more involved. So one of the guys asked me if I wanted to help clean the church like once a month. And I'm like, yeah, because I had a feeling that week when I was, taking out the trash at my house. I was like, I think I should be doing this for the church. And,
mm,
that Thursday morning comes around, he asked me, and I'm like, I start laughing because I told him, and he starts laughing too. And I started doing that for a while. Then I had a volunteer meeting for people who want to volunteer for more.
sure.
So I started volunteering. I wanted to help with running the lyrics and stuff. I started doing that. Then about a month after that, they were still in the uh, infant stage of doing live streaming.
Yeah,
So they didn't really know what to do with things. They had other people there trying to figure it out. Then worship lead asked me if I wanted to go to lunch, meeting for lunch. So I said, yeah. So we met up for lunch. And then he asked me if I could take over the live stream.
mm,
Which again, I started laughing because I was trying to figure it out if God put on my heart to, what I thought was to do it for myself.
sure.
But then when he asked me that, it's like, okay, now it's clear as day. He wants me to do it for the church. And so I started doing it, and slowly, it got to the point where I basically, everybody was coming to me to figure out how to do things. And I'm like, yeah, I'm barely doing this. But now I'm running the whole department, the live stream, the
Sure.
presentation. I'm building it for Sundays. And I've been taking on other things. I help for the bulletins because the worship lead had so many things on his plate he couldn't figure it out. So it's like, I can do this, help you out, so you don't have to worry about doing that. And now I'm an intricate part of the church team.
That's awesome. Um, so interesting enough. This is just a small little side thing, but same with me. I streamed a little bit last year, had a little familiarity with it, and then I ended up serving in church in the last, I don't know, 5, 6 months. And then I'm also helping with the live stream, which is pretty funny. It's one of those things where it's like I never thought I would even be involved in that, but serving IT and starting to volunteer and help them, and that's awesome. So no,
Yeah.
that's great. So you went from kind of it, for lack of better words, off the deep end. Then you're praying. You had this like really peaceful lift. That did you feel like depression just went right away? Like when you were
Yep.
praying that prayer? Dude, that's
Exactly.
amazing. And then somewhere in that short season after that, you go to sleep, you wake up, hey, no more oxygen. You're like, praise Jesus. And then you start hearing God and all these little things like, hey, I'm taking out the trash. God's like, maybe you should be taking out the trash at church. And then the next couple days later, he says, hey, can you help us clean out the church and stuff? That's amazing. It's just amazing how God works. That God would take something like the oxygen thing that puts you on disability and then use it to be like, actually, I'm going to get you really plugged in. Actually, I'm going to get you really connected. And that's amazing. I appreciate you sharing your story, especially just being healed. First of all, depression and the oxygen thing, that's incredible. But also just finding some purpose in the season and just getting connected. And I'm sure as any other serving role or tech role too, it hasn't been a perfect journey or a perfectly smooth ride since then. But that's cool to see you getting involved. Now, at the time, who was doing all this? Was it the worship leader just doing everything?
Pretty much, he was the one creating the worship,
Pro
the
presenter?
presentation,
Yeah.
and pro presenter, the bulletins, and he was the one trying to do the live stream, setting it up on the website and
Sure.
stuff. And
That's cool. Now, do you have any church got trashed too, like Arya says? That's funny. Now, do you have any, are you pretty integrated? Like, hey, you can recommend different things. You can say, hey, like, what if we did this week or things like that? Or you kind of try to stick to your lane and just focus on stream and that side of things?
no, I try to integrate new things.
Sure.
And I've taken inspiration from everybody I watched, God Squad, Susie,
Sure.
all, and I try to integrate that into what I've seen into our uh, our live stream. And if something new comes up or something, I say I'm going to try this, and say go for it.
That's awesome. That's awesome to have the freedom to do that and just be trusted like that too. So now you've been there serving for what, a year?
A little over a year,
Little
yeah.
over a year. Awesome. Okay. No, great. I appreciate, like I said, sharing your story. It's a great story of just healing and redemption and everything. How So what's something or a word of encouragement or something that you would share with the people watching this morning, kind of like a final hey, remember this, or something that you would encourage the community with, just based on your story and your journey and everything that you've been through?
You'll never know what God has in store for you, and it may not be at the time you want it. It's at his own timing, and if he really wants you, he'll relentlessly pursue you like he did with me, year after year after year, until I finally gave in, and it was actually the best thing I've ever done.
Mm,
Miraculous healing of depression, my lungs, just my mind. It's just everything is just so peaceful,
yeah,
wonderful. There's time to, time and again, there's going to be a problem, but just pray about it, and just keep your eye focused on God, and your way will be made clear.
that's so good. Yeah, you never know the journey God's going to take you on, but just trust in the fact that He's going to get you through it and pursue you the whole time too, which is awesome. Okay, so now from that whole experience and that whole season, has your internal change and your internal growth, how have you seen that affect like your family or the people around you, or have you seen much change in your sphere of influence? And not for lack of you trying, I'm just saying, has God been working in and around your family or other circumstances?
Yeah, my mom has gotten closer with God.
Mm,
She's It wasn't like she was before. My brother, my dad, they weren't really into it, but
sure.
they've noticed a change in my attitude, and the way I perceive things, and it's like a peace that's on me no matter pretty much what's going on.
Sure.
And so my dad's kind of like, what's going on? My brother, he has some mental disorders that affect him. But I noticed he noticed a change in me as well, and he's trying to figure out what's going on.
Sure.
And so I just slowly, God's working in them.
Sure.
So hopefully they'll realize what's going on. But maybe I want to try this.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people think it's complicated, and it feels when you're on the outside looking in, it feels complicated. Like, I don't know if this is for me, or I don't know if this is possible, or I don't know what this entails. Oh, that means I have to go to church every Sunday and like totally give up all freedom, and I can't do anything, and I can't drink, and I can't smoke, and I can't cuss, and I can't, like, it's just so like imprisoning from the outside, it feels like, but it's actually completely opposite.
Yeah.
And Jesus died so that we'd be more free and have more freedom and more joy, more than you would in the world. And it's quite a paradigm shift when you're on the inside looking out, you know? So that's great. No, that's good. One thing I did want to mention that I forgot to mention earlier, which is something cool that our plan is to do going forward. So for everyone here, I did talk to Cryo about it yesterday, but anyone, something we're going to do with the channel going forward is anyone that does come on and share, we're going to ask them ahead of time, hey, if there's donations, if there's subs, you know, in the future, if there's those things that come in, where do you want this investment to go? And so I'm honoring every person that comes on and share to choose where any donations or anything goes. Just support what they're passionate about. And so I just encourage everyone that's here. I'm assuming it's kind of like going to be the core regular crowd going forward. And it'll obviously grow organically, but you'll have the opportunity going forward with different people to sow into what they're passionate about, what they believe in, what's important to them. And so in your circumstance, Cryo, if somebody wanted to donate or wanted to, where would it be going? Is this your local church?
Actually, it's a local outreach that
Okay.
my pastor started.
Okay, great.
It's men's ministry. They help unfortunate men who are addicted to drugs and stuff or homeless.
Sure.
They help them. They bring them in. You know, give them shelter, food, and help them get back on their feet and minister to the Word of God. And a lot of them that have gone in there had turned their life around and became clean, sober, and they started ministering to others and mission trips and everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to create a different way of people being able to like, I don't know, support the community. You know, it's hard to say like, somebody donates $100, like I'm just gonna hand it, you know, to so and so. But to be able to pour into ministries, organizations, or things that people are passionate about, I just feel like that's a good way to add value to the community. So just wanted to highlight that. Going forward, there'll be more opportunities and more people are going to share, and there'll be more chances to give. If you guys are interested, literally no pressure, but in the bottom there's a donate panel down there. You can donate there, and literally everything minus any taxes that would have to be paid on my behalf would just go to the ministry or to organization or cause. So I'm trying to think. The last question I'll ask you, which I asked Johnny or Mr. Kim last week, was how, you know, in the church, a lot of people say, like, there's a lot of like, okay, video gaming is very negative, or very like, even as far as like demonic, and like, this is not good, it's not healthy. Like, parents are super freaked out about their kid playing Fortnite for 6 hours a day, and like all these different dynamics of video gaming, and like stigma really in the church. So how, for you personally, how has gaming and your faith kind of intersected, and where do you see the value in gaming, or how has it been a value to you in your life?
Gaming for me has been a release of stress, and I didn't not until a few years ago, I didn't realize that gaming and faith could actually be a thing. And especially older generation, I didn't even think there was anybody my age that actually played video games until
Mm,
recently. But I know there are certain games I won't play because
sure.
it doesn't feel right, and I usually trust the Holy Spirit's judgment
Yeah.
on things. So I look at some of them like yeah, but other ones like oh, this just doesn't feel right. Now I'm not gonna touch it. But in the whole and that's the way to get to people these days is actually through gaming because a lot of people are doing that nowadays, and
Mm,
especially since uh, COVID stuff, people are online more and playing games and stuff like that, and it's a whole new world and a way of getting the word out. Back in the olden days, missionaries would go to different countries. Now we can actually stay in our home or build a business and reach the people to across the world now.
mm,
Instead of just going to them, they can come to us.
sure. So you see online gaming in general as just another vessel to be able to reach people for the gospel.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, I honestly I would have never once ever thought it was even remotely a thing or possible until I ran into Susie's stream. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait. This is actually legit. You know what I mean? Like 3 weeks
Yeah.
into it, I'm like, I'm trying to find something that Susie's gonna say that's gonna be like, this is whack. I'm not coming back here. But every week, I'm like, this is solid. Start telling people like, no. You're trying to convince people at church. This is my story, right? Go to church and be like, dude, there's a pastor on Twitch who actually is legit, who's actually trying to reach gamers. Like, no, they're legit, like really legit. And you're like trying to convince them, and they're like, oh, I'm sure there's a pastor playing video games that's legit. And you're like, no, they're legit. Their theology, everything is like legit. It's like this funny thing trying to convince people. And I think people will be more open to it too as we go forward. But that's a good point, though. Just video gaming being more of a community thing and something to connect people and easier to reach people. No, Susie, that's straight up how it is, dude. The first 3 months, that's how I was actually like, no. I know it sounds crazy, but this is actually legit, you know? Uh anyway, all right, so before we wrap up, I did want every week, I think what I'm gonna do is challenge everyone. So my challenge this week for everyone is to one day this week sit down and write either some notes down or prayer down or testimonies or start writing. This is my journal. Trust me, I do not do a good job with this, but just to have like I have prayers in here and different pictures and things and stuff that God's shown me, how I'm feeling, things like that, just to like have stuff like written down somewhere to be able to go back and like review it and look over and like, hey, I wrote a prayer on this date and hey, it was answered. Like, that's amazing. I'm gonna challenge everyone this week that's here to be intentional, whether you write it in a journal or on a piece of paper, on a sticky note, to write your testimony or to write a prayer or prayers or answers to prayers or something that God's done, write something down. And next week, just come prepared. I'm going to ask people to share if they're bold in chat, just if they were willing, if they were able to do it, and if they were, if they stuck to it. I just think it's a good practice. I don't do a great job of it, and I want to get better. And there's seasons where I've done a great job, and seasons I haven't. It doesn't have to be a certain style. It doesn't have to be a certain. It can be pictures. I have some drawings in here. When I sat outside a couple times, prayers, different things, testimonies, spoken words. I have a couple spoken words and things in here. So that's my encouragement for you. I think every week I'm just going to have like one challenge to everybody. And so going forward, we'll continue a similar format. We're going to have various guests and various things, various topics. Long-term goal is to have it be more kind of like thematic. So, for instance, like November might be marriage focused. So if we can get enough testimonies about marriage and their marriage being redeemed, we'll have like a marriage month, and then maybe finances and maybe something like that. So I know we have Nyack from the community. He's in the pipeline. We have Blackhawk, who's got an epic testimony. They're going to be coming on here within the next couple weeks, both of them. The legendary Winkari, he's going to make a cameo. He's going to come on at some point. Eventually, I'll wrangle Susie in to come share a testimony from his life, or AJ. But really, the focus is to get community members and just people in general. I feel like just breaking down the divide between community and content creators, and just we all love the game. We all love Jesus, and we're all trying to pursue him in this season. And so just have people come on and share their story, and just be encouraged, and just glean wisdom and encouragement from different people every week. That's kind of the goal. So, Cabos, you're in the pipeline too. Don't think I didn't forget about you. We just need to talk. But it's good, and I'm excited, and I'm glad you guys are here. And I just pray that you guys would share with other people, like encourage people to show up. I know it's early, especially people any time zone earlier than Eastern. It's early. And I just encourage you guys to invite people out to just get connected to the community. You can go, even through Susie's Discord, or as primary communication for probably most everybody these days in this community. But I want to bring on people from other communities too, and just start branching out and just breaking down some barriers that aren't necessarily even intentionally there. They're just there based on different communities, and just have different people share and have different draws. And my goal, so Alexander, it's not set in stone right now. It's between three people: Nyack, Blackhawk, or Winkari. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Today is when I'm meeting with a couple of them to finalize dates and times. I will send out a flyer today or tomorrow. I was a little bit late on Cryos this week, but I'll let everyone know who's going to be next week. But I will let you know. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's understandable. It's early. Alexander, I appreciate you being here. Just in general, I'm old. I forget. Like, I'm 34 and I forget all the time, so don't feel bad. So, but yeah, that's kind of like the roadmap, the plan ahead. I did find out that affiliate for Twitch, the requirement has gone almost tripled. So like now, instead of I think it was 3 streams a month, and I forget what it is, like 4 hours or something, you need 8 hours and 7 days of streaming. Cryo, is there a link to your church stream? Ooh. If you want to either DM me, or you can jump on Twitch now that you're kind of done, Cryo. You can drop it in the chat. Shouldn't be any.
I'll drop it in Discord so
Sure.
I can get everything.
Yeah. Are the followers the same at least? Followers for what? What did I miss? Cabos, what did I miss? I remembered this week, and I do have a command for it, I think. Let me see. Let me make sure it works. That'd be funny if it doesn't, but I think it does. It'll be Susie's Discord, I'm sure. Okay, there we go. So if you know somebody that has a story, or you yourself have a story that you want to share, something God's done, something God is doing, redemption story, your salvation story, I put the link in the chat to the form fill. You fill out a form, and then I'll get a hold of you, and we can meet and just talk over what you want to share and what God's been doing, and then try to get you on the schedule. So if you're interested, please use that link. It's just a Google form. And yeah, the last thing I want to say regarding the channel is just, it's really meant to be a community collaborative channel too. So I think in the future, I'd love to see somebody else even host it. I think that'd be cool. It's all just, Discord call or, streaming somebody in. But I think that'd be fun just to get more people involved. And I don't want this to be a me thing. I have no interest in making anything from this. Just supporting community creators or community members and their passions and where they're going. So yeah, it might turn in because of the extra affiliate work. It might end up being a 2 day week thing, not with testimonies, but maybe do like an off day of something else. I haven't really thought it through, so I'm going to pray about that this week and just start connecting and getting some feedback from some people. Cabo's pulling up the rear. See what I did there? Oh my gosh, Christ, yeah, I have missed you, seriously, you and your dad jokes. So anyway, again, thank you, Cryo, for being here. Super honored to have you here. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep pressing in, even when it's hard, even when the enemy's trying to take you out at the knees. Just keep pressing in. Everyone else, thank you for being here. We'll be here at least next week at 8 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. And yeah, we'll send you out. Everybody, in 15 minutes, make sure you jump on Susie's stream for morning devotion and just connection. And yeah, we love you guys. And we will see you next week. Okay? Bye. Cryo, say bye to the crowd.
See ya. Thank you for watching.
See you guys.